Hey fellow flowers, Violet here, welcome back. I got a request from a fan named Amy on how to make an elephant lanyard. So today we are going to be using the techniques that we saw in the turtle lanyard to make this adorable little elephant boondoggle. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Step number one is to grab yourself some CRAFTLACE. You can get this from Pepperell or from Michael's. I will post a link down below where you can get it from Amazon. But we're going to cut and measure 8 pieces of string to be 20 inches long. And then I'm going to grab each of them at the end and then find their midpoint. And this is just kind of a precautionary step. It makes it a whole lot easier to do the next part. But we're just going to pinch all of these ends so that they're kind of more square and easy to deal with. And now we're going to split them off into 4 and 4. So for me, I got 2 browns and 2 whites in each of my hands. And to start off the double-sided stitch, I will gather a brown, put a white over top of that, grab the other brown and fold it over the white strings like so, and then I'll grab the last white string here, lay this over those brown strings, and then find the ends of those whites, feed them through that brown. And now we'll pull this all tight. Now this next step is pretty optional. I'm going to add a hook or a loop to it so that way I can add to it later, or I can turn it into a bookmark or a keychain, that sort of thing. But for you, if you don't want to add the finding, you'll just do 1 stitch on your double-sided lanyard. So now that's what that guy looks like, and it's time to do the next 4 strings. And after pulling that tight, I will do 1 box stitch on this one. Now you'll see that I have 2 double-sided lanyards, each having both their starting stitch and then 1 box stitch on top of them. And now I need to weave them into each other. And this is the part that seems to trip a lot of people up. But essentially I'm taking 2 of my brown strings from one of them, I've laid them across the face of the other one, and then I'm weaving a box stitch to kind of tie them together. And now I'll feed this one through, and you'll notice that this design is essentially the box stitch on steroids. That's probably the best way to describe it. But I'm going to pull all of this tight, and the way that I do that is by holding both sides of that double-sided lanyard and pulling them together, pulling them tight. Now gently I will pull those brown strings all the way through so that way that lanyard is right up against the face of the other one. Now I'll weave 1 more box stitch just to kind of lock these strings in place, make sure nobody's going anywhere. And then we'll pull this guy tight. And then next we're going to weave those other strings that we fed through a little while ago. So we'll need to find where my 2 browns are that I fed through, and be careful not to confuse them with the brown strings that are on your original lanyard. So I'm going to turn it to the side, and you can see, okay, those are the 2 that I fed through. These are what are going to become the side strings of my new lanyard. And then I need to reach back here, find the corresponding white strings, and I'm going to bring 1 white string over top, and then I'll go find the other white string, which is probably going to be on the bottom somewhere. So let's hold those, flip the lanyard upside down, and here, right here, this one is the white string. Move that out of the way. This one is the white string that I need to use, so I'm going to feed that over as well. So now let's turn the lanyard so that the 2 brown strings and those 2 white strings are facing us, and this will make it so much easier. Now I need to start a new box stitch on this side. So using those 2 white strings, we'll make 2 loops. And then using the 2 brown strings, we are weaving over and under, and then pulling those tightly. Once that's tight, we will do one more stitch here. And this is because we need to line up all 4 box stitches so that way we can start weaving them into one another. So I'm going to pull this one tight, and then we'll turn the lanyard and we'll add one more stitch to the other side to make sure that everything lines up. And I'll show you what I mean in terms of like line up. So let's freeze for a second and notice this top string here and this bottom string from the side over here. Our goal is to get every corner to have this top bottom pair. So you may need to play with the strings a little bit to get this to line up, but hopefully if you line up your strings just like I do in this video, you should have no problem doing that. This is what I have so far if I look at the top of it, but just to make everything a little bit more even, I'm going to weave 2 more stitches on this face so that way everything is kind of at the same level for me to start weaving them together. You'll notice that I already have the top bottom pair, but by doing 2, it'll set up my strings to be in the same place that I need them to be. Now, if you have a pair, if you don't have a pair yet, you may need to just weave 1 stitch on your face so that way they line up. And again, if you didn't line up your strings quite as I did in this video, you may have to play around with it a little bit. It is a lot of trial and error and practice to get things to line up the first time that you do this. But there we go, everything is lined up. I have a top bottom pair for every corner and I have 4 faces to work with. Thanks so much. That wraps it up for part 1 of the sphere for turtles, elephants, jellyfish, piggies, bumblebees, whatever you're making. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Keep blooming and I'll see you later. Bye.